I found out the truth on a Tuesday evening, while standing alone in my kitchen, staring at my husband's phone, wondering why my husband's second SIM card was ringing again. That was the moment I knew my marriage was not what I thought it was. If you're still watching, that means you're enjoying this story. Go ahead, subscribe, like the video, leave a comment, and share it. More powerful stories are coming. My name is Amara. I grew up in a modest 2-bedroom apartment, raised by a mother who believed that peace was more important than noise. When I met Daniel, calm, soft-spoken, respectful, I thought I had found the kind of man my mother prayed for. We met at a friend's wedding. He happened to be amongst the men of honor while I was among the Asoebi. At the wedding he would throw glances at me, causing me to blush all over the place. It was truly a beautiful and envious moment. He worked in Lagos, in logistics. Not flashy, not loud, just stable. We dated for 2 years. No shouting, no drama. We spent hours and hours talking to each other on calls whenever he traveled, and when he returned to see me, we would hang out and enjoy ourselves. When he proposed, I said yes without hesitation. I believed love didn't have to be hard. I remember the night my mother called me to her room and asked me if I really wanted to get married to Daniel. Yes, Mum. I love him and he loves me. We love each other and you can see that for yourself. I've waited all these years for a man to marry and here he is. I said, assuring her, "Okay, my daughter, if you say so. I will give you 2 my blessings." And that was it. We both got married. Marriage started quietly with family and friends in attendance. It was such a great moment for me, not knowing that it will all end up in a nightmare soon. It was the happiest day of my life. My mom cried that day because she was giving her daughter, who she had stayed with ever since her husband died, away to marriage. It was inevitable but emotional too. We moved into a rented flat in Aja. Every morning, he kissed my forehead before work. It was the sweetest thing I had experienced in my life. Every night, he asked about my day. We didn't have much money, but we had routine. Or so I thought. Sometimes, Daniel traveled suddenly. Work issue, he would say. Sometimes, his phone stayed on silent for hours. I noticed, but I ignored it. Because peace was important. There was a time when he was bathing in the bathroom and his phone started ringing. Maybe he had forgotten to put it on silent this time. I debated in my head whether or not I should pick the call. Alas, I decided not to pick the call because I respect privacy a lot, especially when it comes to marriage. The first crack came from a neighbor. She's known to be a gossip. Edna was a housewife and a mother of 2 kids. Her husband travels to Sapele for rig work, leaving her on monthly allowances, which makes her more lazy and jobless. She's known to know every family secret in the compound. From the way she talks, you could tell that she's a gossip. I was very mindful around her. One Saturday morning, while washing clothes, she asked casually, "Your husband travels a lot, Abby?" I laughed sarcastically. "Yes." She nodded slowly. "Men like him usually do." Something about the way she said it stayed with me. Something wasn't just sitting right with me. At that point I knew something was wrong somewhere and there was something I was not told. I attempted to ask her what it was, but I refrained immediately. Knowing who she is, it's not safe to ask her questions because she will gossip about you to another person, telling that person that you two talked meanwhile you only asked a question. That same week, I saw a missed call on his phone from a name saved as DS. I took the phone to where he was drinking water in the kitchen. "Who is this person, babe?" I asked, pointing the phone to his face. "Oh, it's my office driver." Something in me just didn't buy that. I knew he was lying, but I didn't know how to prove it or explain it. Then the lies began to multiply. After that day, he started carrying his phone with him wherever he went to. Even to the toilet it was with him. One night while we were in bed, he excuses himself to go and use the toilet. He took his phone with him and I quickly called him back. "Babe, why are you taking your phone to the toilet?" I asked immediately, looking him into his eyes, trying to find out if I could see a lie. "My boss wants to send me some documents to send to our investors immediately. So I'm keeping time to when it arrives," he replied. I knew at that moment that he was lying and it was visible through his eyes. "Why do you always carry your phone wherever you go to?" I questioned him without holding back. "Honey, it's because I have to be working when I'm not at work too. We have online meetings and stuffs we need to attend to, that's why," he said. I heaved heavily, still having doubts about what he told me, but I let it all go. Money became tight, yet he was always helping someone. Daniel became more stingy as the day went by. Whenever I asked for money, it was always one story or the other. It's either he's helping someone, or he's low on funds, or his boss is yet to pay them. It caused arguments most times. One evening, after he came back from work, looking tired and exhausted, he requested for his food. There was nothing to prepare food. I replied blankly. I saw his face grow from tired to sour. "And what does that mean?" he questioned, eyes staring daggers at me. "You never give me money to buy foodstuffs or even for other things, so how do you expect me to cook food for you?" I fired back, already angry. For the first time he saw how angry I was. He couldn't believe his eyes. He silently went to freshen up and went to bed. We didn't speak to each other until the next morning. "Wake up, honey," he said, waking me up the next morning. "Here, this is 50,000 naira. Use it for food today and also for anything you need." There was no expression at all on his face. It looked like he was forcing himself to give me the money. I took it and he left for work. That day, I prepared a goosey soup and eba. When he came back, I could see the happiness on his face. And for the first time in a while we ate happily together. It was like a great opportunity. One night, while we were asleep, Daniel hideously slid out of the bed with his phone and tiptoed to the living room, closing the door behind him. He thought I was sleeping, but I was smart enough that whenever anyone or anything moves around me, even if I slept 3 hours ago, I will definitely wake up. He returned back with his phone after some hours and quietly slid back into bed. I pretended to be fast asleep. It kept on happening and happening, but I ignored everything. One afternoon, when he went to work, Edna, the next door neighbor, came to meet me while I was hanging the washed clothes outside to dry. My sister, she said in a gossip way, smacking her lips and clapping her hands. What is it again, Edna? I asked her with tiredness in my tone. You will not believe what happened yesterday, she said, looking around as if anyone was coming. Something is always happening and you know everything, Edna. What is it this time? I said, rolling my eyes. I saw your husband with one lady in the supermarket yesterday morning. I hid so he won't see me. They were playing love and touching each other, and then he drove her in his car. I said, let me tell you as a good friend. Oh. She quickly ran back to her house, looking around to check if anyone was around. My hands became shaky. The clothes in my hands dropped on the dirty floor. I was totally lost in thought after what she just told me. Something immediately struck in my head. She's a gossip, so why believe her? She is just trying to ruin your marriage. I quickly ignored what she told me, even though it was still lingering around in my head. Daniel came back the next day evening, all tired and stressed. I decided to execute my plan that evening on him. I dressed myself in a red short nightwear, made the room a little dark with red and blue lights. I played a romantic music to complement the atmosphere. After all, it's been long since we had intercourse as a couple. After his meal and freshening up, I started playing the music and touching him. I looked at his face and it was showing that he was not interested. He was looking somewhat irritated. I proceeded to connecting our lips, but he looked away. No, babe. Please, I'm not in the mood right now. I just came back from work and it was really stressful, he said, going to bed without even looking into my eyes. I angrily went to bed. That night I cried and feared that what Edna told me was true. It felt like I was a fool and worthless. I quietly sobbed, wetting my pillow. I felt a hard pain in my chest. I was slowly losing it. One evening, while he was with his friends in the living room, his phone started ringing. I guess he had forgotten it there because he never leaves his phone anywhere in the house. If it's not in his hands, it's in his pocket. Out of curiosity, I picked the call. A woman's voice said softly, "Daniel, are you coming home today?" My chest tightened. My hands shaked, causing the phone to drop from my hand. Tears suddenly filled my eyes. I covered my mouth, holding myself from wailing. I couldn't believe that what Edna had told me was true, and it was 100% true. I sat quietly in the room for hours until his friends had left and he returned back to the room. He noticed how awkwardly silent I was and came and sat beside me. "What is it, Orami? You look bothered," he questioned. "Who is that lady that called and asked if you were coming home today?" I blurted everything out without thinking for a minute. He suddenly started laughing and laughing. "What is funny about what I just asked?" I asked, looked at him with teary eyes. "Honey, that's my sister. She stays in Ibadan," he casually said. But something inside me broke quietly. With everything that has been going on for the past few months now, I knew there was something wrong somewhere and something he was hiding from me. He couldn't cover it anymore. The truth was starting to slip out slowly and slowly. So I calmed myself down and started paying attention. I started playing smarter and better. I always monitored his calls and how long it lasted. I started observing him with the way he was always behaving on calls. One evening, he was planning to travel to work and I had already planned that I was going to secretly follow him to wherever he was going to. I casually asked him where he was traveling to this time. "It's Ibadan. We have a contract there," he replied. I smiled to myself, knowing that too was a lie. But something shocking happened that evening. It came to both of us as shock. Even though I had suspicions, I was still not prepared for the news I heard. The truth revealed itself by accident. That Tuesday evening, the second SIM rang. Daniel was having his bath and it happened to be that he left his phone on the nightstand. I answered the call. The silence on the other end lasted 5 seconds. Then she said, "Is this not Daniel's wife?" I couldn't speak. She continued, "Because I am. Look, for your information, we've been married for 6 years now and we have a 5-year-old son. So it's best you steer clear away from him and give up already." She hung up. My legs gave way. My heart stopped beating. Everything in the world stopped. The noise, the movements, the breeze, and even my breath. It was until Daniel shook me that I jolted out of trance. That was how I discovered Daniel had another wife. Legally married. With a child. In Ibadan. I turned to him with tears already running like tap down my cheeks. "Is it true?" I asked him. It was then it has occurred to him that I had found out and his phone was still in my hands. At that point he knew he could not lie again, so he gave up. He just sat down. "I didn't want to lose you." That sentence destroyed me, because it meant he never intended to choose. Cold breeze swept me to the ground. My shaky legs couldn't carry me anymore. Why? 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 Daniel, why? I wailed loudly. Why did you fool me? Why did you do this? I cried out my eyes. My heart was already broken and hurt. He still sat where he was quietly. No noise. I felt my whole world shattered. I saw myself for the first time broken. He was the first person I ever loved. I loved him so much that I ignored all the signs from the beginning. Even when Edna told me, I fought it in me not to believe her because I convinced myself that he was the best husband even if he was never giving me attention. Even after the first call, I still stayed. I still had faith that everything was going to be a film. Holding back everything with a strong belief that nothing was happening. Meanwhile, there was a big thing going on at my back. Just then I remembered the night before my mother gave us her blessings. She asked me if he was truly the one I wanted to get married to, and I said yes. Even from the start, I still didn't notice the signs. I still ignored everything like a fool. But not anymore. I'd seen and had too much already. I quietly rose back to my feet and went to the wardrobe and brought out my clothes. I left the house that night with a small bag. He didn't try to stop me as I left the house, he still sat there lost. Few weeks later I sent him the divorce papers and he signed them and sent them back to me. And that was it. People started talking, especially back at home, but I didn't care one single bit because peace was important. But not at the cost of my dignity. My mother supported me and encouraged me. She didn't reject or neglect me. At the end, family still matters. Today, I live alone. I work. I breathe. I heal. I learned something marriage didn't teach me gently. A quiet man can hide loud secrets. And love without honesty is just a delayed heartbreak.